Good afternoon. It is day 74, I believe, of our Corona confinement / retreat. Still looking every day for the numbers to go down. And today, when Governor Cuomo of New York was on, he said that the numbers are looking much better for New York, and he even went over them and put them up, and it looks like there is a decrease, but we have to look out because it goes up and goes down. But I know in my heart things are getting better. I wanted to touch real quickly on yesterday. We talked about tipping point or breaking point, and I realized I kind of went into tipping point quite a bit, but I didn't talk about breaking point. And today I have cause to bring it up because we have had, I've had experiences talking to even other Unity ministers online who talked about how they feel like they've had it, they can't handle another day of the constant negative experiences, news, the unavoidable. It seems that we've come to really being in a position of being caught between a tipping point. Can we tip the scales in the favor of all that is good, or will we break? We don't want to break. So the people, the rioters, some of the rioters, they just broke. They just couldn't handle it anymore. But we pray knowing that, as the scriptures tell us, the battle is the Lord's. It is the Lord's. The battle belongs to the Lord, is what it says. And if we look at that metaphysically, that means in the end, what is going to win the battle is knowing, understanding, and living in accordance with spiritual law, with spiritual principle. What we're experiencing right now, you can only call anarchy. And if you are not aware of what anarchy means, it is a denial of or lack of government, of leadership, of strength in helping the people to have the ultimate good that we all want. I'm going to get back to that in just a minute. I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that some people are at the breaking point. And before you break, you got to step back and take care of yourself. Then you will be stronger tomorrow. Don't worry. There's a lot of us all working together for the outcome of good in our lives and to create a world that works for all. That's like Unity's tagline for the past few years anyway. It's that we are creating a world that works for all. But we can't do that if we're broken. We'd have to heal first. Let's not break. Let's take care of ourselves. It's okay for you to take the day completely off from any concerns about what's going on. Garden, be with your pets, take a nap. Naps are very, very precious. And if you can, take a nap in the sun with sunscreen when you're safe and you're not going to be encountering anybody. Just in case, have your face mask tied around your neck so you can pop it up should you need to. I actually took mine off. I'm at work today, but I took my face mask off because I got tired of seeing it around my neck, and I don't need my face mask when I'm talking on the screen as opposed to face to face. So today we're talking about the difference between a tattletale and a whistleblower. Now, did you ever think a tattletale and a whistleblower are the same thing? You know they're not. They are in one sense kind of the same, and in another sense, in truth, they are in fact very different. I've been warned before when I was a kid not to be a tattletale. And I was afraid if I was a tattletale, if someone I knew was doing something and I did not think what they were doing was right, and I told somebody about it, and got them in trouble, then they wouldn't like me. That's a very, very hard thing for the human part of us to bear, because we all want to be liked, accepted, loved. So the thought of someone not liking us and calling us a tattletale, that can leave a very, very deep impression. On the other hand, actually in both cases it takes a lot of courage to speak the truth. A whistleblower speaks the truth because it is impairing the good of the whole. That someone is lying, cheating, stealing, whatever. The difference between a whistleblower and an actual tattletale is a tattletale, first of all, isn't necessarily speaking truth. Secondly, they do it with the primary purpose of getting the other person in trouble. On the other hand, a whistleblower speaks truth and knows it's truth and has the courage and lets go of the fear that somebody will not like them, that someone will be mad at them. We need more people to be willing to be whistleblowers when they know something is wrong and they don't speak out, because we are all in a search for truth. And if we don't build the foundation of our lives in truth, then we stand on a very shaky surface that could collapse at any time. Tattletales people that tell you or call you a tattletale are people who are working to manipulate you through fear of rejection, fear of retaliation, whereas a whistleblower is refusing to be manipulated by the title tattletale. So one is buckling under and being manipulated, the other is standing firm and having the courage to speak out. Let's look at what happened, in the past couple nights. We talked yesterday about the demonstrators and the rioters. They're not all the same consciousness. Many people were just out there protesting. And I have to admit I was naive, because I thought if the protesters got satisfaction with the perpetrators, the murderers actually being held, arrested, held accountable, that the protests would end. But they're not. They were bad again last night. And what really, really troubled me was the sense of defiance of the protesters and the police and military, the National Guard, that were standing face to face with them. And what was missing was a complete lack of respect, and that is where my first realization that we are in a state of anarchy occurred to me. I mean, it really came through as clear as if you wrote it on my face. And I realized that we have a lot of work to do here. And yet, no one, if anarchy is a lack of or rejection of government and authority, yesterday, last night, and even today, they're still going on, is a perfect example of the effect of leadership not standing up to fix this. I think the people still didn't feel it's fixed. And no, a fix isn't going to happen overnight. But we have to know that people are going to be working toward fixing it, toward fixing the police training and interactions with people. I come from the time when we appreciated police officers, and then again, northern, white, makes a difference. It really, really does. I don't know if you saw the video with the woman who called the police on a man because she was like, would not leash her dog, and he was calling her out to leash her dog, and it winds up that she like was abusive to the dog and yelling at the man and calling the police saying that he was threatening her. He was videotaping her. He was being a whistleblower to someone who was taking a chance on their dog, being abusive to their dog, and calling him out for something he was not doing. Well, she wound up getting fired, and they took away her dog because it was a rescue dog, and she had been abusing it. So, but we forget. It's all these little things that we forget. Now, I've had people say to me, you know, that it's really imbalanced right now, but you know what? There's only one thing that answers that, and it is truth. As I said before, we're all on a search for truth. Now, the rioters, I don't think the rioters were the protesters. I think the rioters were people you will find everywhere in life who take advantage of situations. I think some people just went out there, got all riled up, and then they got more people riled up because this is contagious. Believe me when I tell you, this negative energy, this adrenaline rush is contagious. I have seen it happen. I have had it happen in an experience I had in church, which was very challenging. We had a tough time. There was what every minister dreads, which is called church conflict. We had people come in, we had everybody examining everything, and in the end, they found out that there was nothing done wrong, and that, you know, we could use some more training in how to interface with each other and get clear about our mission, vision, values, etc. But the bottom line is the operation was a success, but the patient died. One woman who was a driving force in the church conflict was moving away from the area, and she came to see me before she left. And she said to me, you know, I had to stop and tell you that I really love you, and this was not your fault. And I'm really sorry for my participation. I just got caught up in it. That meant a lot to me because it was a very life-shattering experience. People get caught up in stuff. Because they get caught up in stuff doesn't necessarily make them evil. But like I've said over and over, we have to look at the cause so we can change the effect. The riots are an effect. The protests are an effect. What is the cause? And the cause is beyond the recent incidents. But the recent incidents were definitely a build-up, and it built it up to the breaking point. In this aspect, in that moment of time, life as we once knew it ceased to exist. But it can be better as we work together to create a world that works for all. I would like to see the negative implication of the word whistleblower taken away. Being one who calls out truth, who calls us out to come up higher, is not a bad thing. It is a good thing. Tattletales who go around and spread rumors and lies and causes dissension and separation, they're just troublemakers. They're manipulators. I've said it since day one. We must speak our truth. And we must speak it with courage and speak it with love. Yesterday we talked about a pressure cooker. And as the pressure cooker built up, it needed that, the pressure within the pot, it needed that little valve. Well, the pot exploded and the stuff is all over because the vent apparently got clogged. So now what do? We clean up the mess. How do we clean up the mess? We seek the causes behind the effects. Because when we find the causes behind the effects, we can change them. We cannot talk to people when they're all riled up. Yet, allowing the vent the same way as when the pressure cooker is allowed to vent, if we can let it go and then even take off that little thing on the top and release that pressure completely, in order to cool your pressure cooker so you can open it after it's done cooking, you have to take it and run it under cold water. And then it goes, phew. What if we were to look at what's happening as a phew? That is, it's kind of releasing the pressure, it can dissipate, and once it calms down, we can talk and start to rebuild. Doesn't that happen in your own relationships? Did you have with your mate, your children, your significant other, whatever? You know, one of these things where day after day anger and rage and resentment and stuff build up, and then you say, what's wrong with you? And boy, do you hear what's wrong with you in spades, screaming and hollering, and then maybe you scream and holler back. And then comes the calm after the storm. And that's when you can really speak your hearts, apologize for saying things that you didn't really mean. See, that's another thing. As good a person as we are, if we get riled up and angry enough and into our lower emotions enough, oh, we can say things we don't mean. So I encourage you to think about that. Some of the things that people are complaining about, everything from, we can argue about anything. We can argue about whether or not you should wear a mask and whether or not you should stay home and whether or not, what if we just stopped arguing about it, did the right thing for us, spoke our truth? It doesn't mean you shut up and watch everything, happen around you. You can speak your truth, because sometimes it's like one of my metaphysics teachers said, nothing could be more true or less helpful. I'm hoping the things I share with you are not only true, but they're helpful. As I watched the face-off last night between the protesters and the enforcers, the military and police and like that, what came to my mind was West Side Story. I love the music from that. That's one of my favorites. But it's a modern-day Romeo and Juliet. It's where the two gangs in New York fought it out. In the end, a couple who was deeply in love died. Everybody died. Well, I know Tony died. Maria didn't die, I don't think. Can't remember. No, she didn't die. And then the leader of the other, there was the Sharks and the, good heavens, I can't remember. I know you know. But anyway, in the end, nobody won. And in any kind of confrontation like this, nobody wins. What we have to do is figure it out, find the causes, change the causes, so we can change the future effects. How I know this wasn't big and bubbly, may I tell you, though, that today is Creativity Day in the National Day calendar. We all have creative minds, and we can find creative ways to work together for good and to learn how to heal broken relationships and even a broken country and even a broken world. For what it's worth, it's also Mint Julep Day. And I discovered, though my cupboard is very getting down there, especially in the spirits department, since I don't drink much other than my wine, but I believe I have some bourbon down there that I got for Christmas and never used. And I do have a mint plant that, by the strangest coincidence, when I was walking down to the office today, I saw the mint plant was just beautiful and bushy and looking great. And I went, oh my gosh, is that my mint? Looks a whole lot better than it did when I planted it last year. And I picked it up and I broke the leaf and I smelled that mintiness. Then I come down and find out it's Mint Julep Day. I think I may experiment and, what the heck, try one. Try something different today. Be creative. And remember that we are told that blessed are the peacemakers. Namaste. I behold the divinity in you. Have a bright, beautiful, better than average day, because you can do that despite anything that's going on in the world. God bless you. See you tomorrow. We're doing church.